Welcome to Ingoing Radio episode 4. This week I don't have a guest. I didn't go out and ask questions even though I wanted to in the beginning of the week, but I procrastinated, and then towards the end of the week I really started just getting on a car hunt. I'm trying to buy a car right now, and I figured since it's the end of the month I might come across a good deal, so I figured it'd be a good idea to put my energy in that direction. I want to be consistent, so even if I don't have as solid of an episode as I usually do, I'm going to just keep posting. I don't come empty-handed, at least, because with this whole car search, I had a very interesting encounter with someone who was selling a car on Craigslist. So every time I get in contact with somebody, the first question I ask them is, the car registered in your name? Because the only way someone can sell you a car is if the car is in their name, it's registered in their name. Or I even seen on Google that if someone you're selling it for somebody, if they have a bill of sale that says that they're allowed to sell it for them, that might be a way to get around it. But honestly, I don't really trust that. I want a car to be registered in somebody's name, whoever I buy it off of. So yeah, I was looking at this, I believe it was a Honda Accord, and I had to go to Irvine, and I'm in downtown pretty much. I'm very close to downtown Los Angeles, so Irvine's kind of deep, but this car looked really nice, leather interior, looked beautiful. I want to go check it out. The price was decent. I think they were selling it for $3,100, and I was like, okay, I hit them up, said, hey, is that car still for sale? Is it in your name? Yes, it's in their name. That's what they said. And it's still for sale. So I was like, okay, I'd love to go look at it. I can't be there till like a couple of hours because I'm going I was going to take the train down there, the Amtrak. And they told me that 2 people are about to go look at it, that they'll let me know if no one buys it. So I was thinking, well, if I'm going to go buy this car, I might as well have the money on me. So I head towards the opposite direction because my bank's has very few locations. Go the opposite direction. I go to the bank to get out the cash. Even though my plan is to lower the price, of course, you got to negotiate a better deal. And so when I'm going to get the cash, he's like, somebody didn't call. And the other person's not answering, so I can go down there. And I was like, oh, all right, yeah, I'm down. So definitely went to go get the cash. Then I'm trying to make it back to the train station, but I missed the bus. So I was like, I want to get there. I really want this car. I Ubered to the closest train, the Gold Line, so I can take the Gold Line to Union Station and hop on an Amtrak. And so yeah, I did that. I paid for the Uber, and then I got the train. Cost $20-$30, right, altogether to do this. So I get down there. I'm at the Irvine station. The guy calls me up and he's like, hey, I don't see you. And I'm like, oh, I'm right here by the parking structure. He's like, no, I'm looking at the parking structure. And I was like, you're at the Irvine station, right? And he said he was at the Tustin station. And I was like, oh, I'm pretty sure we said Irvine. He said he was wrong. He messed up. So he was going to come meet me where I was. So then he pulls up. By the time he pulls up, it's dark. I'm looking at this car. It looks all right. It looks decent. I walk around, take a look all over. The inside, the interior looks clean. And I'm like, all right, well, can I take it for a drive? Can I take it for a test drive just to see if it feels good, if it sounds good, if the alignment's good, if it steers to the right or to the left while I'm driving it. He said that's fine. I was like, all right, well, I'll just drive it to the train station you came from, so that way if I don't buy it, I'll just end up taking the train back, and I'll be able to drive it. So I'm driving this car, it drives good. Dude's talking about how he's going to New York the next day, and we were just talking about New York for a second. I've only been there a couple of days, but I loved it out there. And so we're on the way, and then I was like, what? Oh, I was like, oh, how do you get to the train station? And he's well, I mean, are you gonna buy the car or not? Because if you're gonna buy the car, you can just like take me to my house, and that way I can just drop him off and take off from there. So I think, what did I say? I told him 2,500. He said he wasn't down, and then he made a joke. He's like I can only do 3, and I was like, how about like 2750? He's like, what, dude? You're gonna say like 2950? And I was like, all right, 2950. And I don't know. In the end, we ended up just agreeing on 3. Like, I just really want this car. It's nice. It drives nice. Everything's cool about it. I was like, all right, I'll just do 3. So I only lowered it $100, which really isn't that much of a win for me. But if you look online for cars right now, they're like very hard to come by, and most of them are in like pretty bad condition. This car is in good condition. So he gives me directions to get to where he's at, or his apartment, like an apartment complex. We pull up. I already had agreed on the deal, so I was like, okay, cool. Let me take a picture of your driver's license. He took a picture of my driver's license, and I got a picture of his driver's license. And I was like, well, before I hand you over the cash, can I see the pink slip? He hands me over the pink slip, and I look at the name on the pink slip, and it's not his name. And he just goes, oh, it's cool, dude. It doesn't actually have to have your name on it. And I'm like, no, like, that's the first question I asked you, is the car in your name? And he's just like, no, you can still like register it, and it don't even worry about it. You know where I live at, you know where my apartment's at. And I'm like, dude, no, like, I need the car to be in your name. I'm not going to buy a car off of someone who's giving me a pink slip with somebody else's name on it. He didn't have a bill of sale that had like said that he can sell it. Like, he was lying to me, pretty much saying that he could. The funny thing too is, when we were driving there, I was just talking about how, like, my brother was telling me, why am I looking on Craigslist? It's like super sketchy, and I've never had bad like encounters with it. And it's just funny thinking back on it, because I'm talking about him. Like, I'm talking about sketchiness, and I'm literally talking about him, but not realizing he's trying to like take me for a sucker, you know? And so yeah, we pretty much, like, he was like, I usually don't argue with people, but you can definitely put the car in your name anyways. And I was like, bro, I pulled up the text. I was like, that's the first question I asked you, is the car in your name? And thankfully, actually too, when we were in the car, I was telling him about how like the other people I've been talking to about buying a car, I would ask them if the car's in their name, and some of them would say no. And it's funny, when I look back on it, when I said that, the car just got really quiet. Like, he knew that the car was in his name the whole time, even though I'm like keep on restating that that's important to me. So the good thing is that he gave me a ride to the train station, the most awkward train ride ever, like car ride ever, because I withdrew my offer, and we're just like quiet, you know, it's just quiet. But then I think I started talking about chopped cheese sandwiches. If you ever been to New York, you got to make sure you get a chopped cheese sandwich. It's super delicious. So yeah, we were just talking about like food or something, but we were just trying to kill the awkwardness, but it was so awkward. And then we get to the station, and I'm just like, sorry to waste your time. Shook his hand, got my stuff, and just like got out of the car. When I think back on it though, like, I said I'm sorry for wasting your time, when low-key, like, this guy wasted my time heavy. I took the train, took super long. When I was at the station to go back home, the train I needed didn't even come by there no more. So I actually had to take a couple of buses. And that's not even to get all the way home. That was to get like halfway home to stay at my parents' house. And then from there, and the next day, I can finish taking like my ride home. So he literally took a whole day out of my life. So yeah, that was an interesting encounter with like a really sketchy person. Like, he seemed nice, he seemed hella cool, like, you know, just like an upbeat, good personality. But the second I withdrew it, he kind of got angry. Like, it doesn't matter if people are friendly or all that. Like, they'll say whatever you want. I even asked him, like, is everything good with the car? And he'd been telling me yes. But he's driving on high beams because his lights don't work. So he never mentioned that. So yeah, that was a sketchy encounter, and I guess that just made me want to tell another story. I had one more story before I clock out with this one. Is when I was a kid, I remember my parents had like family friends over, but they were from the other side of the country, and they were also bringing their friends over. So like people I'd never met before, and they brought their son over as well. And the kid was like a year or two younger. I must have been in like freshman, sophomore year or something. So he was like in 8th grade or 9th grade or 7th grade, something around that. So there's this kid who's like staying at our house, and I remember we going skating, and he had a Vivid Entertainment hat. And dude, this is like imagine a 7th grader or 8th grader. This is like a kid wearing, it's a porn company. This kid's wearing like a porn company hat. They're from Florida. I don't know if that makes any difference, but yeah, this kid's wearing like a porn hat, and I was just like, this is kind of trippy. But in the beginning of the week, when the kid was staying over our house, he had seen that I had some gamer headphones. Like back in the day, it was like headphones, and then it had the talking piece that comes out. And he's like, hey, can I have these? And I was like, no, you can't have those. Those are mine. Like, I don't know. I guess I would have been nice if I gave them to him, but they were mine, and I just didn't want to give them away. So I said he couldn't have them. And later in the week, we found out that our family friend had been missing money, that from their room, they had money like hidden somewhere, and that the money had gone missing, or like little by little the money was disappearing, and they didn't know where it was going. And everyone was kind of thinking like, oh, do you guys think it was the kid? And I was like, oh, if it's the kid, I didn't say it out loud, but in my head, I'm like, if the kid did steal that money, then that means that my headphones are probably stolen. So I go look in my room, and I look everywhere for these headphones, and sure enough, the headphones are gone. So I find the kid, and I was like, hey, have you seen my headphones? And he's like, no. And I was like, oh, can you help me find them? And he like went to my room, and I was like, if you find them, then I'll let you keep them, you know? I was like, if you find them, you can keep them. And so he's like looking all over my room, can't find them. And he's like, I think I know where they might be. And so he like walks away, but he tried to walk away fast, and I'm following him. I was like walking at the same, like quicker, because he's trying to get away, but I want to see like, where are these headphones at? So he goes to the room that they're staying in, and he like goes behind in like a cabinet, and then behind the cabinet there's like a box, and then behind the box he like pulls them out, and he's like, oh, I found them right here. And I was like, dude, you totally stole these headphones. You stole them. I was like tripping on him, like, you stole my headphones. And as I'm saying that, the kid's mom walks in the room, and she just looks at us, and we both just look at her, and like, I got my headphones. I know she heard what I said. And then I just like walked out of the room, because his mom totally caught what just happened. And then sure enough, they went through the boys, like his bags and everything, and they found our family friend's money as well. So this kid had like stolen the money, stolen headphones. He was just like a thief. I wonder if he stole that hat that he was wearing. But yeah, so that's just a couple encounters with some sketchy people. If you have any stories about like encounters with sketchy people, go ahead and comment them underneath. And hopefully next week I'll have a better interview, or maybe man on the street questions again. Better episode is what I meant to say. Thank you for listening. Much love.
To all my friends and family who've broken bread and laughed with me. Without you, life is a tragedy. May you always stay at ease. And know for you I'd bleed. In those times it seems